I guess. All right, welcome back, guys, to Catz, Battle of the Best #1 2015 with me, Flying Well. We just saw a series between Reynad, and it was, Reynad and Carlos, which actually I think went 3-1 here against Reynad, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Uh, Both players actually bring very interesting decks, and as I said, I'm quite sad that I haven't seen Carlos's Paladin because the Druid and the Warrior were pretty interesting. So
Yeah, Piloted Sky
I
Golem.
yeah, but I guess we're gonna get to see that Paladin sometimes. If not today, it's gonna be tomorrow in the finals if Carlos gets there. I
Yeah.
hope we're gonna have a chance at seeing it. And I mean, Reynad wasn't in rest anyways because he was running a very interesting miracle as well. So
Yeah. I haven't seen
yeah.
Miracle Rogue at all in the classical sense, with Gadgets and Auctioneers, and I think that's like his deck is running at least one. I didn't get to see if there was a second one. We saw a sprint, so I'm guessing there's one sprint, one Gadget Sand, and the usual array of minions. He's going for Toshli as a mid-game slash late-game tool. So I really like the approach he took to the deck, and I think rogues, because of the way they're built right now with Tinker's Sharpsword Oil, they don't need to go for those late-game threats the way that usual control decks do. They don't need the Ragnaros, they don't need the big legendaries that get dropped. Which we saw a lot of that when GVG came out to adapt. A lot of rogues ran control decks with a lot of late game,
Mhm.
but this is really much more rogue-ish. The typical playstyle with Gadget and Auctioneer trying to cycle cheap spells and get themselves a massive lead. And Tinker's Sharpsword Oil gives them a lot of damage for very little investment as far as cards go.
Yeah, I agree. And
Yeah.
I don't know if a lot of players do run Rogue in the tournament, but I think I've seen it multiple times. So we're probably going to see multiple variations of the not completely miracle, as you say, but
Yeah, I've seen about 6 to 7 rogues in the tournament right now, so it's really
Mhm.
not that uncommon, but it's not the most represented class. Nowhere like Druid for sure. So the next.
Hello, I'm Harry Chung playing for Team Solomid, better known as MaSsan streamer. Ooh, it's one of the things that had to happen. I talked about it when Noxermus came out that Undertaker should be nerfed to only have a tech buff, which is what it's going to become. I think I'd rather be Leok than Misha or Hoffer. Like I don't want to face tank the damage. If I'll do that if I'm Misha, and I don't want to be on the front line, and that's the Hoffer. So yeah, I'm just one of the guy who just sits at the back and watching other people fight, and that's exactly Leok. Ooh, I think I'll go back to the beginning of the time and watch the Big Bang explode. That'll be pretty cool. Partner instead of opponent. Well, easy answer would be Dark Onyx, I think, but then everyone else will pick that, so I'll go with the e-cop. And that's because it's just gonna troll my opponent so badly that they're just gonna go after him, and I think I can just be a Leok and stay away.
I am ek0p. I don't care. Hail Huffer. I don't care about the past, I just care about the future. I would totally pick Legendary Leah because she can slap a hoe.
I just, what? I'm actually just not sure who's redacting, who's actually like making those questions up. who is asking those players the questions? Because it seems to me like they're scripted. That's 3 players that told us they wanted to go back to the Big Bang. Carlos obviously with his own Garden of Eden a commentary, but I feel like those questions get answered in much the same way all the time. I don't know.
I know. As far as I know, Toida was running the interviews. I don't know if he's the one that made the questions.
Okay, so because he asked last time, if you want to be an animal, and I was like, if you were an animal companion, which would you be? Like Misha, Leok, or Huffer? And I like MaSsan's answer about just staying in the back there and watching people fight. And you know what's really funny is everybody seems to think like we've had a few pros now commenting on the Undertaker nerf, and everybody seems to agree that ever since Naxxramas came out, that card has been needing attention. Like, and I remember back before Nax came out that the card was, being deemed by a lot of professional players as overpowered. It would break the game, and I'm looking at this now and I'm thinking it took a long while for those warnings from people pre-Nax to actually get heeded by Blizzard.
It did. I can see still Blizzard's point of view because they knew they were releasing GVG, and they might have thought that GVG would fix it. So
okay.
they didn't want to touch it before releasing GVG, and then after a month and a half of GVG, now they realized that Undertaker is still, was still very very strong and needed a nerf.
Yeah. So basically, you're saying like they thought GVG would maybe address it. But it's funny because at the same time they nerfed Soulfire and they nerfed Gadgets and Auctioneer, so they obviously had, even with GVG coming out, they added Bomb Blobber, which is a really good answer to Gadgets and Auctioneer, obviously, but they thought that wasn't enough, so they felt the need to change it. But as far as Undertaker went, they thought the metagame would kind of sort itself out, which obviously it did not. In fact, it got even worse with Hunters getting their Paladin Shredders. So that was kind of
I don't know, maybe they thought it would be fine by adding early answers such as Shielded Minibot and Muster for Battle for Paladin, Light of Naru for Priest.
Flame Cannon, because 4 damage, 1 drop, makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
I can see that.
Pretty good. And even Fel Cannon can be pretty good against aggro, but definitely not when the 1 drop goes to 5 or 6 HP.
Yeah, maybe that's the problem with it. I think Cog Master was also they tried to make a new type of aggro, which right now is getting picked up on since Undertaker nerf. Mech Mage is all the rage, and that's all you see. You even see Mech Druid, which is actually a thing, which has surprised me quite a few times when I've seen it. So I think Mech is now becoming more of a. I mean, the aggression is getting, a little bit more towards the mech side of things as opposed to Death Rattle. There's a mix of both, but Undertaker is getting phased out slightly for some of the more efficient mech synergies.
Yeah, and as a player that plays pretty much of everything, but also a lot of control, I prefer going against mechs and against Death Battles because you can actually clear the board at some point, and not all the minions are going to replace themselves, and the Nubian Egg is really hard to deal with, because it basically protects the whole board, so it might be a little bit more balanced if the aggro is actually clearable, and it leaves only a 2-drop from the Paladin Shredder.
So the next match we've got is between, I believe the next one is between ek0p and MaSsan.
Yeah.
So their lineups, let's talk about their lineups here, because ek0p is bringing Druid, Paladin, Warlock, and Rogue. So he's bringing Warlock, which is a class that in this tournament is getting underrepresented like nothing I've ever seen. I've never seen, I think, a single tournament where Warlock was as underrepresented as this. And it's really funny because we're just at, post Undertaker nerf. You would have expected maybe people to be finally willing to bring back something like a handlock deck. It's been seeing play, but not a lot. I think Kalento's recent kind of Zoo Hand Demon Lock was one of the stronger Warlock decks we've seen recently. But with the the rampant double combo Druids and Paladins, Handlock is also fading away. No Undertaker means a Zoo Lock is less powerful than perhaps Mech Mage. So where does that leave Warlock in general? I feel like it's kind of in a weird spot right now.
Yeah, and even Darkwonix, who built a very weird OTK Warlock, didn't even bring it, so I guess even the ones that play Warlock the most don't even feel like it's a good choice in this tournament. And
Yeah, I know
think
Size brought it, but didn't get to do much with it. Was handlock.
yeah, I think Priest is the class that we don't see at all. I don't even know if someone brought a Priest. I'm trying to look. And I
No, there's
don't
no
see
one with a
single
priest in this. You know what? Yeah, okay. Priest sees even less play,
Yeah.
less play than Warlock, which brings me back to the olden days of like closed beta, where Priest was the the Amaz class. You were playing Priest. Your name was probably Amaz, and no one else was playing that. Zedalot maybe,
Yep.
but the amount of players playing that class was so low, and it seems like that's the case again. I mean, we're back in a metagame cycle where this seems to be happening all over. Maybe due to, I don't know, Paladin Shredders happening. You need the Arcanine Circle systematically to wipe the board, otherwise you get snowballed out of control against something like a Mech Mage. There's probably a reason there, but
I think Priest has a lot of trouble currently to be versatile. You can beat anything you want as long as that's the only thing you have to beat.
okay.
But-
So it's hyper specialization basically.
Yeah, I mean, if you build a Priest to kill aggro, you kill aggro, no problem. You're gonna have all the early answers, but those answers aren't gonna be very good against control, so that's a big problem.
Yeah, I can see that.
And basically,
It-
Priest has been viable from Nax to GVG.
Yeah, and now I think it's about well, it's a metagame cycle. Eventually, it'll become it'll come back once it knows what it has to counter, because Priest is by definition a very reactive class. So what they have to do is wait for the metagame to settle and then build their decks according to that. So that's the reason probably that we see none of this so shortly after the Undertaker nerf.
Yeah, and it's not impossible. I mean, Sevilla got #1 on NA with his Priest deck, and I tried it, and that's the first ever Priest deck that I actually managed to get a favorable win rate with. So it's not dead. I think it's just like you say, in a lull between two metagames.
Yeah, that's probably what's happening with it. And MaSsan, as far as MaSsan's lineup goes, I'd like to point out that he actually is the only one who's bringing Hunter, which you can see here. At the very top, we see Hunter getting played. MaSsan is the only player in the tournament who brought Hunter, which just a week ago were completely, overrepresented. And now we only see MaSsan, which actually he did not bring it in the Kingwin charity event.
Yeah, and what is ek0p playing? It's a Warlock. It
Demon
looks like a
Hanzu.
minion Warlock.
I'm telling you, it's the Kalento. I call it Kalento Lock. It's a mix of Demon Lock, Hand Lock, Zoo Lock. You could call it Synergy Lock in a way, because it's got all cards that synergize with each other, and it's not going. You wouldn't have expected Jiraxis here, and you wouldn't expect Twilight Drakes. There's no giants, by the way. Not a single giant in this deck.
There's Sneeze and Kel'Thuzad.
That's all I'm gonna tell you. It's one of the weirdest type of decks, but it's awesome. It's new. It's the newest thing we've had since GVG. Like the absolute newest thing. Nothing comes even close. Even Mech Mage is older than this. that's how new it feels. Oh
Wow.
god. Yep.
I mean,
it plays a lot like Handlock, but
there's been the Life Coach's Mage Warlock. That's kind of a zoo with spells and spell power and card draw, but this is what ek0p's currently playing is entirely new to me.
yeah, I've played a lot of it on ladder. It's a really fun deck. It's one of the most fun decks that currently exists, I think, in the game. If you like playing Warlock, this is probably one of the most refreshing things you can do with yourself. Just play this deck out. It's one of the most fun things. There's so many plays and lines of play that you can make. I don't know if ek0p is running exactly the list that Kalento was, but it's something very akin to. I mean, you've played Demon Lock that used to run Void Terror perhaps and Nerubian Eggs. This is a bit like this, but ek0p's version looks. I mean, he might just be playing Handlock. ek0p might just be playing Handlock, but just based on that Zombie Chow, it's either a Handlock with Zombie Chow, or
And
something more like a
Kel'Thuzad
Demon
and
Lock.
Sneeze.
Yeah, it's been seen. It's been seen. Not the most frequent thing, but it has existed. So
I mean, you don't need Kel'Thuzad if you had Sneeze. You already got it.
yeah, I know.
So
it's
do you
just
Hellfire
really.
here, or is this?
Oh wow,
okay,
the
so
perfect read here
snakes.
from ek0p. He saw that MaSsan didn't actually play anything but a juggler, so he has to assume this is probably gonna be a snake trap. He's trying to bait me into doing it, and I think ek0p's read was really good here. And it's one of those situations where, if you think about it for a second, if the read had been wrong by ek0p, it would have been devastating. If it had been a freezing trap, just think of the outcome of this game.
Yeah,
Like
This
that
Drake-
Lothar follow-up would have been crazy.
Yeah, this Drake puts a lot of pressure by itself.
Uh-oh, now there is no good way to attack.
Yep.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
he
Siphon's
no,
still...
this is do you have to Shadow Flame Mortal Coil? This feels
Okay,
so
wait.
bad.
I would like to stop. Everyone, take a look at that implosion. Just consider the fact that ek0p is running an implosion.
Ugh.
I
This is-
am completely amazed and surprised. What could that possibly serve? Is he running Mal'Ganis? There's no way. What could he possibly... Sea Giant? No way. Not even that. It doesn't do anything. Oh,
Demon Heart, maybe? What?
Okay, so maybe this is that Demon Hand Zoo that I was talking about. I think he might be running some really wonky Void Caller deck with Doomguards and a Floating Watcher. You know what? I am loving this, but he can't use Implosion first though.
So many possibilities.
I mean, Explosive Trap is going to completely negate that.
This is a huge puzzle for ek0p. It is
Yeah.
so hard.
I love you, ek0p. I don't know who taught you to play this deck, but I'm currently in love. I don't know. He's not watching the stream, probably, but you know,
Shouldn't be.
should be watching the stream. But this is amazing, and Unleash the Hound is actually going to be the perfect answer to this board state. As MaSsan, you're probably very happy to see this board, and you know, ek0p being so passive about it.
Yeah.
This gives you
Then-
perfect time to answer it.
But then again, ek0p Shadow Flame is going to be pretty good, and the snakes are going to be useless. Well, they're going to give a charge. That's going to be their impact on the game.
This Shadow Flame is going to be way too good. In fact, I'm surprised MaSsan... I guess MaSsan knows that he has to go all in and hope to reach as fast as possible for the lethal without giving his opponent the opportunity to, you know, be too defensive. I mean, this is just before Jiraxis.
ek0p is in such a great shape here because he can Shadow Flame and play the Mistress of Pain, and then next turn he Demon Hearts her and gets 6 HP per turn.
Yeah.
And
What's
then
really
that is
interesting is everybody tried to make Mistress of Pain work when she came out, but it didn't go anywhere. Seems to be working for ek0p right now.
So
Yeah.
many
It
possibilities.
Darquanix runs her as well in his OTK deck because she can
Yeah.
buy some time. But it's weird, I have to say. And MaSsan definitely doesn't expect this. He probably feels lucky that ek0p didn't drop any Molten Giants yet, but little does he know we're not looking at Molten now. Giants are going to be the thing. So, I really think, yeah, Shadow Flame Mistress should be the play, but I don't know why ek0p didn't trigger the snakes first. He probably didn't want to give MaSsan a charge on his bow, and also didn't want to trigger the explosive trap, which I find very interesting. I guess it doesn't really matter if he Demon Hearts the Mistress, then he can gain HP, and he doesn't care about the Mistress's HP. And those imps are going to be useful to clear the board, so probably a great choice out of ek0p to not trigger the traps. But now that he didn't trigger snakes, how does he plan on clearing the snakes, on clearing the minions, if he cannot deal with the snakes now? Or does he just want to Demon Heart the Mistress and hit the face?
I wonder.
This Mortal Coil is pretty good, but he still couldn't expect he couldn't expect this last turn, so this is definitely a Demon Heart, I guess, or yeah, at the very least a heal dot, but I would expect a Demon Heart so that the Mistress doesn't die, and then heal for 6 every turn. Put your opponent on a 2-turn clock, and that seems pretty good. We lost Noxious, by the way. He should be coming back shortly. Oh, well, MaSsan wants to be Leok. He rolls Leok, no problem. I guess though he would have wanted Huffer here And ek0p is still gonna heal for 6, so how... And with the heal bot and the Farseer, there is no way that MaSsan gets lethal next turn. Oh, and Draxus is lethal, so good game together from ek0p. Extremely, extremely interesting deck. I would love to see this deck in a control matchup, so we can actually see the rest of the deck, and it looked like it's pretty good against aggro. So MaSsan's Hunter pretty aggressive with the Undertakers that he unfortunately didn't draw early, and also ran Abusive Surgeons, and the synergy between Knife Juggler, Snake Trap, and Unleash the Hounds. But unfortunately, MaSsan didn't have a hand aggressive enough to take the game against ek0p's Warlock. I have no idea how to qualify this Warlock, but I guess I'd go with what Noxious said. Just that is Synergy Warlock. You have board clear, you have Drakes, you have late game, but a lot of healing to get there. And yeah, that was extremely interesting. And I wonder what MaSsan's gonna bring next. MaSsan can bring Druid or Mage now, if I'm not mistaken. Okay. No, MaSsan can bring Druid or Paladin. My mistake. So, what could even be good against this? Between the Druid and the Paladin, I guess that MaSsan's probably gonna have a really hard time picking between those two, and I mean, you can't really burn down this if you're playing an aggressive Druid. If you're Paladin, it might be hard to outvalue this deck, but MaSsan didn't see the late game out of ek0p's deck. He only knows that there is 2 Mistress, 1 Demon Heart, Shadow Flame, and Hellfire. It's going to be quite hard. And so MaSsan chose to go for the Paladin here.
Your soul shall be mine.
And I wonder what type of Pally it is. Oh, we have Noxious.
Yep.
Welcome back.
All right. Wow, these disconnects are getting absolutely atrocious. So, what happened in the game? Did oh, actually, ek0p won for sure. That's what I
Yeah,
saw.
ek0p won by Demon Hearting the Mistress and
then
healing for
overhealing.
6 every turn. That was pretty good. And MaSsan chose to go Paladin. MaSsan doesn't know about the Sneeds, doesn't know about all the late game. The only thing he knows is that ek0p runs Mistress, Demon Heart, and Removal, and Drakes.
Yeah, but based on the hand that MaSsan is currently having, I mean, I think his early game is going to be good enough. But that Implosion,
Yep.
that's weak to, you know, mind control tech. Not that that's what MaSsan put it in for, but...
It is, but it, in a way, it's weak to it, but in another way, it makes your board... It makes the MC tech pretty bad most of the time, so... It can be a liability, but at the same time
Yeah.
might protect your minions.
Yeah, and I think the spectator mode is currently glitched. There's gonna have to be somebody's gonna have to rejoin that spectator mode because it's currently bugged. I'm gonna have to have ek0p re-invite him. This tends to happen quite frequently. It's not exactly uncommon of the spectator mode for Blizzard to actually just bug. All right, well, let's just wait until technical problems are fixed.
Yep.
So many possibilities.
So-
No, there's little problems with the... Yeah, we see nothing. You need to rejoin spectator mode. Wow, I don't know how much of the game we missed, but... Probably a substantial amount. Yeah, spectator mode he still has quirky bugs like this. Happen quite frequently. Not too surprised, but
Still better
Alright,
than
so
having to. Alright, yeah. Yeah, perfect.
Reporting for duty.
so we're on turn 5. So a lot of stuff has happened. I'm
ek0p
not
has
quite
drawn
sure
an
what
MC tech. I have
to
no idea
counter his
what's
own
going on.
implosion.
Well, if your opponent MC techs an implosion, he's pretty likely to have more than 4 minions, so it's logical to run MC tech if you run implosion.
Yeah, as a counter to his own MC tech, I guess, but it's not.
Exactly.
And it also counters Doctor Boom. It happens to counter multiple things that aren't even just MC tech itself. Ooh, that
Yeah.
consecration is actually going to be quite helpful. If you Iron Beak Owl consecrate, you get a full clear.
Yeah. Does he have the owl though?
Yeah, he does. He has the Iron Beak Owl on the
yeah.
on his hand right here, which is gonna help him, kill that Drake. Actually, what does ek0p really have to follow this up with? His board is not terrible, but Muster for Battle is gonna contest the implosion. He doesn't actually bother with the consecration. All right.
I think this is pretty good because he knows there is implosion, and in doubt, implosion is rarely a bad play.
Oh, he has seen implosion last game. Because
Yeah.
I got disconnected, so I couldn't see that. All right, if he did.
Yeah,
then,
he did
lost
see it,
him.
so he knows. And I think this is a pretty good choice to keep consecration because of this implosion.
All right. Man, that Mistress of Pain is surprisingly effective against Paladins.
Yeah, she.
Now that Paladins are back, she's just that much. I don't know. It's crazy just how strong she is.
Yep. Yeah, because the tokens are actually pretty good in control mirrors for Paladin against both Warrior and Warlock, because they're very annoying. They're cheap, they don't cost cards, and they force removal. So the Mistress can do a great job here. And
Oh wow, is this an MC Tech turn? I can't. I mean, he's got to play around. He's trying to play around Quartermaster here. So if he does, the MC Tech is just for that. But I don't see that. This is a very good MC Tech. It gets barely anything out of the way. And
are you
I don't know.
gonna get a better one though? That's the thing.
Yeah, probably not. Yeah, probably not against Paladin. I doubt it.
Yeah.
But the counter
Exactly.
MC Tech is a thing.
So you both prevent Quartermaster value, and you put the 3/3 body, which isn't too bad, and forces either clear or a counter MC tech. But
Yeah, you're vulnerable to consecration though, but you already know that. So
yeah,
I guess he doesn't really
And you
mind
have
that
implosion.
much.
so if you see a consecrate, your implosion becomes better. And here's a counter MC tech.
If it gets, I mean, I guess the best it could get is actually the Mistress of Pain herself, just to ping the little implosion tokens that you might expect.
Yeah, I agree. 3/2 isn't bad though, so that's fine.
That's
At least
good
he can get his token back.
Finally, after all is said and done, he's able to just get some kind of board presence at this point. And ek0p's hand, although it has a lot of answers, doesn't have any proactive plays. You know, no Sneed's Old Shredder, nothing that's going to be able to put a lot of pressure on ek0p in the immediate sense. And that Lotheb's going to lock down his spells. Oh, never mind. That could actually
Not
work
the draw,
out.
though. But do you want to use your whole turn on this Hellfire?
I can't think you would.
I
Implosion is tempting. It has to be tempting.
I-
Okay. Let's
Yeah,
see
I
what
think
he
I like the
does.
implosion better, because if you Hellfire, you have nothing left on the board. But by
Oh!
this implosion, you force a clear out of your opponent, so you keep the initiative instead of
what?
giving it to the Paladin.
This 4 damage implosion would have been super meaningful in other circumstances, but like ek0p's, I mean, MaSsan's follow-ups are still good enough that this is not going to be too much of a problem. He even has another, a consecration on the back end in case things get out of control.
Yeah. But now ek0p can use the Hellfire if he wants, and still play something else. So,
Yeah, I think you have to Hellfire, definitely. I think Hellfire Sludge might be a thing, or Hellfire. I think Sludge is a bit better, although it's weak to Black Knight. You can't possibly be too worried about that, considering your current hand. With Siphon Souls twice and a Sylvanas, it's either going to be Sludge or the.
well, you don't want
Earth
to
and Ring
siphon the
tap.
Black Knight. You don't want to siphon the Black Knight, that's for sure. But playing Sylvanas is really weak against True Silver, so
I like tap into Earth and Ring Farseer here, as opposed to maybe paying something a bit bigger. Because it's the
Yeah.
same size as the anti-kill bot, but you get an extra card for the following turn. It's a bit off curve, but it's still it's a very proactive play, and I really like that.
Yep, I like it as well. That way you can keep your value minions, like Sylvanas and Belchers, for later.
Yep. Alright, so he does exactly that, and Tyrion Forging falls down. Now, right now, ek0p does not have his Shadow Flame. We
Yeah,
probably have to
that's
assume
what
that
you want
that's
to
what he
draw.
wants. Yeah. Let's think here. Sylvanas could come out, but he can't get her to die. I mean, I guess you could just kill the slime, get the 1/1. Ugh.
Sylvanas is still going to be annoying to deal with for Paladin.
Yeah, what if you just drop her?
Oh,
Whoa,
I'll scythe.
interesting.
I-
I wonder what he wants to use Sylvanas for, because I feel like playing Sylvanas right now lets you... Either he doesn't kill her and then you can Siphon Soul her yourself to get Tyrion... Oh, come on. Oh, come on. No. Oh,
this
no.
zombie Chow is a traitor. He took the place of Shadow Flame.
But it's fine because he can just wait and get even more value out of that Sylvanas next turn. Look at the amount of value Sylvanas is going to get. If MaSsan puts anything more on the board, the anything more is going to die, and Sylvanas is going to steal the Tyrion.
Yeah, yeah, it makes sense. This is pretty greedy, but I like it.
It's greedy, but what are you going to get punished by? I mean, he's not going to burst you down with Tyrion. Oh, wow. If MaSsan, like, doesn't... No, MaSsan, you can't... No. Oh, goodness. MaSsan. Oh, no.
Oh, this is gonna hurt. And MaSsan didn't see Sylvanas last game, so he's in the dark. And I guess that explains his play.
I like his play from his perspective, not knowing what we know about ek0p's hand. But after you get that, bit of information, and in mid-range Warlock, I think you have to assume Sylvanas Shadow Flame is a thing. ek0p doesn't even think a second. I can't imagine he would. He says sorry. Oh, the BM. He gets a full health Tyrion.
And this is ridiculous. MaSsan doesn't have any answer, not even close. Oh, never mind.
What? What are you talking about? No answer. I think MaSsan needs to counter sorry BM here. You can't just leave it at that.
I mean,
You can't just leave it at that.
You just gave 15 damage to Warlock.
Yeah.
Black Knight was the best top deck MaSsan could have got, but is it enough?
Well, I feel with the lay on hands that's coming up, yes, you gave him 15 damage, but it's ultimately pretty fine unless things get really out of control.
But it's also removal. That's the big thing. You kill the Black
Yeah,
Knight.
you're right.
You play Drake Belcher and MaSsan lay on hands because he has nothing. Those are 2-3 free turns.
Yeah,
for
you're
me.
right. He doesn't even have to worry about his health because of the amount of healing that he packs in the deck and the Jiraxos that he's got later on. So even if he drops, excessively low, he'll just come back right away. Yeah, I feel like, I mean, that was an amazing... I think it doesn't get better than this as far as Sylvanas goes in a Warlock deck. I remember a long time ago, you used to have Sylvanas Shadow Flame at 5 mana. And even Warriors were using Sylvanas Brawl, for 10. But since that's been changed... Yep.
Well, okay, so MaSsan goes... I don't currently have what I need to win, so I'm gonna spend my turn trying to fish. That's a gamble, but I like it.
He doesn't have the choice. I mean, he's got a card disadvantage. I think card disadvantage is going to be his biggest problem right now. If he doesn't manage to stabilize card-wise, he's always going to be behind the Warlock. So even if it takes him an entire turn to replenish the hand, at least he puts himself on maximum health and then has follow-ups. And at the moment, we can see there is still a Quartermaster, assuming anything lives, at any point during the game.
Yep. This is a great draw for ek0p. Now he can use his full mana. He's safe against an equality combo.
But
And,
what do you... Like, you have Sylvanas, right, as MaSsan.
Yeah.
It feels like this is as good a turn as you're going to get to play her with...
The Shredder, yeah. I'm not sure about ek0p's decision to hit the face, though. Maybe I'm too conservative, but...
I think he just needs to make room for Jiraxos' weapon.
Yeah, well, now that he drew it, that totally makes sense. He was very close to have it though. I guess he has about 5 or 6 cards left. So
Yeah, he's drawn most of his deck. I mean, if you look at the board right now, ek0p is sitting on a total of 16 damage, which would put MaSsan on 9, right? So Hellfire and Dark Bomb are putting him on 3, which means Jiraxis is then a single attack from killing him. So just putting pressure with that weapon is not necessarily the worst thing. It's not going to be a valid option going through these next few turns, but it's definitely one that's worth considering at the moment. And that's no chugger. Do you have to Dark Bomb this?
is it gonna matter? Because if you play Jiraxis, you're not frozen anymore. So
I don't know. I've never played that specific scenario out. Okay.
yeah, because it's a new champion, so it doesn't matter.
All right. So your heroes replaced completely.
Yeah,
All right. So I
guess
think
you
just
can
going
face
face
them.
here for ek0p makes a hell of a lot of sense. And you know what I like here? The fact that the Siphon Soul and the BGH are still up for options here as ek0p. He can't possibly be worried about anything coming from MaSsan. Like, not a single thing can come out that's going to be a threat to him.
Yeah, I like this. I think he Dark Bombed the trigger so that Sylvanas wouldn't be able to suicide on Sneeds.
Yeah,
Because
because
now-
if you were able to clear the Sludge Belcher,
Yeah,
then you'll be able to get yourself that extra chance to kill Sylvanas.
exactly. And now ek0p can suicide his own.
Well, actually,
His
let's
own
look
threat.
at how much damage he's got. If he Siphon Souls the Belcher and uses the bot to kill the 1/2, he's got a 10 damage on board right now.
Yeah.
So he's vulnerable to Sylvanas after that play, though, which is probably the biggest drawback. Yeah, I think his vulnerability to Sylvanas is showing off right now. He was fine, but right now it's... No.
Well, is
Yeah,
Is
I mean,
there-
that sneezed old Shredder, come on. Come on, you can't not want him back.
but then if MaSsan manages to get KT next turn,
Well, what's he gonna
Game-
res? Which top?
What?
What? Hellfire
Is
for 9?
so how can? Yeah, but you
Anyone-
can't. You can't Hellfire and then give him Mali. That doesn't
No,
work.
no, no, you can't do that. But you can Hellfire the entire... Well, you don't want to give Malagos, that's 100% sure.
Yeah.
I think KT is still a pretty decent option. You kill the heal bot, then you play KT, and let him deal with that slime. He still can't kill his own Sylvanas. On the slime, right?
Okay, that makes sense.
Okay, Equality Consecration says, please choose me, but that's not going to work. Right now, we see MaSsan is... Actually, the True Server Champion is going to help a lot here. Well, a lot. Let me just rephrase that in a way that's a little bit more palatable. It's going to help him maybe win the game. If he steals Kel'Thuzad off of that Sylvanas, he's going to get Sylvanas back and then proceed to die to Hellfire. So ultimately, I don't even think it matters.
Exactly.
There's
it
actually
possible?
nothing. The heal bot, interesting. If he steals KT, that's gonna be huge. And he steals the Drake, the worst possible target. ek0p, sorry
only
again.
One, the only one that's just plain terrible.
Yeah, there's nothing else that was worse than this in this case. But I mean, what are the
You know
odds that
that
you're gonna
is,
improve the
right?
situation? Well,
I'm
if you
pretty
although
sure
Peacekeeper.
I'm pretty sure any steal would have been pretty much game, right? Even if he stole, like if he didn't steal Malagos, then he died to Hellfire.
If he stole KT,
stole-
I think he could have Aldored the Sneasel to stay alive.
Oh,
to
okay.
mitigate a lot of the damage, but he had to steal KT or Sneeds either way,
Reporting for duty.
and that's not gonna cut it. Oh wow, Demon Heart, that hits for what, 10? Okay, so it's a minion Pyroblast for 5 mana. That sounds fair. Okay, so let's
No
look at the
problem.
amount of damage on the board here. 4. That's 10. We got actually he's got lethal.
14.
He has to see it. Yeah.
Plus Hellfire, yeah.
So many.
That's a crazy Hellfire. And MaSsan just...
I
I think that's fine, honestly. I mean, if you can see that it makes a lot of sense, how are you supposed to clear this without equality combos?
he could have seen more stuff out of the deck because he has to beat it now. So
Yeah, just get information as to what's going to be coming
Yeah.
out, right? Yeah, because now
I-
that's 2-0 for ek0p, I
Yeah.
believe. That's gonna put
It
him
is.
really, really far ahead. And MaSsan's only deck left. What did
It's a
ek0p
Druid.
ban for MaSsan? I think it's Druid left, right?
Yeah.
So, how would Druid fare against something like this? I think it would be fine if you were running like a Taunt Druid, because I haven't seen any Black Knight on ek0p's end. And outside of a Shadow Flame that's going to be amazing in the mid game, I think he can definitely get a really good ramp going and enough board presence that ek0p can't really handle it. But Demon Heart, underrated, removal piece, something I really haven't spoken of. It's sure, we have Dark Bomb as like the MVP of removal. We got Siphon Soul, but there's a really new option here with the Demon Heart being usable as removal.
Yeah, and
If
it's kind of it's kind of in the it's similar to the Druid
Yeah,
choose
Starfall.
one. No, it's similar to the Druid choose ones where you can either be defensive or aggressive with your cards, and Demon Heart can do this. You can kill a minion or make a monster with one of your demons.
Yeah,
And
Infernals
then you
even
keep
from
going,
Jirax's late game. Yep. I'm just always curious because I haven't seen too much Demon Lock. I see that ek0p is not running Void Caller, so he's obviously going for something a little bit more mid-range or control heavy, a lot more control heavy and a lot more healing heavy than the other, mid-range Demon Locks that I've seen. So I feel like his deck is going to be particularly good against, the type of Paladin that MaSsan was playing here, where even if MaSsan, manages to ramp up with Knife Jugglers and Muster for Battle, ek0p can contest that board presence very easily. So I feel like as a meta pick, that's a really nice one because double anti-kill bot. I saw double Siphon Soul, Mistresses of Pain, which deal very well with Paladin cards, and the ability to control so much gives him the ability to life tap as much as he wants, which means he's going to have eventually board control. And, between Shadow Flame Sylvanas as a massive tempo play in the late game, it's like you have a mind control as a Warlock. It's a very common play, but it's so easy to get off in this specific case.
Yeah, agreed.
Your souls shall be mine.
No, it's Mage,
So
actually.
so it's Mage.
Yeah, Mech Mage. We saw that deck in Kingwin charity event recently from MaSsan.
Okay, right. I read things backwards. So that was my bad. MaSsan's Druid was banned.
Yeah, okay, that makes a little bit more sense. So no one drop here for MaSsan, which is actually fine. The handlock hand is a bit on the slow end. Actually, it's very much on the slow end, but that implosion can swing things around if no Blast Mage comes up.
Oh. Well,
Perfect top deck.
do you?
I think you play it. You've got Earthring Farseer on curve and then Implosion that you can then coin
yeah,
Mortal
sure.
Coil with. It's
Yeah.
just perfect.
So yeah, if you don't play Dark Bomb this turn, you're not gonna play it before turn 6. So you're gonna get another answer by then.
Yeah. My question though is, let's assume Cogmaster comes down with a 2-drop. What does ek0p do? Alright, so Spider Tank comes down. I don't think you can implode.
If you coin Implosion, you're very weak to the Blast Mage next turn.
Yeah, and I feel like that's way too awkward. You might as well just
I
keep
like
the
the Farseer.
Implosion for the Blast Mage.
Farseer's pretty good here, because then he can Motocoil and Implosion next turn.
Yep, and get like maximum value out of this. Although right now MaSsan's gonna be able to play 2 minions in one turn, Tinker Town for his spare part, and then the Cogmaster as a leftover. That's going to be just threatening enough that ek0p will want to deal with it eventually.
So does
Wow.
ek0p does ek0p YOLO on the 4/4 or make sure he kills the 3/2? Because he definitely coils the
I
spider.
would coil the. I don't know. I mean, the 3/2 becomes a 1/2, but it's gonna become a a 3/2 again in a second.
Yeah, exactly.
There's no Blast Mage, but you've got to be worried about the Blast Mage.
Yeah.
You
but,
have to be super worried about that.
Since there's no mech on board, it doesn't happen next turn. But oh wow, here comes the sorry from
Ouch.
Sun.
No, he's not gonna say it. MaSsan is way too well mannered to say stuff like this. Wait, he trades the imps? I guess he's afraid of Demon Heart. Okay, yeah, this is the same. This is a Quartermaster syndrome. You're just afraid of the synergy that could come out of it.
Yep.
I love the time rewind here, going to give him the ability to get more value in the future. And between the mech warp and the 2 mechs that he's got, that's gonna be a full board for MaSsan.
Yep. I like this.
This is
And it's a
crazy.
board that ek0p has to clear, but that he doesn't. Oh wow, not playing the trigger, just forcing a board clear, but not losing
Afraid
too
of
much value. I
Hellfire.
like this. Yeah.
Playing around Hellfire very nicely here. So the Mech Warper will live at least one turn, but I feel like ek0p is now in a position where he has stabilized. I think one of the turning points is going to be if MaSsan gets a Blast Mage or a Piloted Sky Golem in the next few turns, then that could turn things around. But for the time being, ek0p is very safe at maximum health on turn 5 against a Mech Mage.
Yeah. And in 2 turns he has BGH Shadow Flame, which is pretty good. Especially since it's gonna kill a Dr. Boom. So,
It's actually the perfect counter in this case.
yeah.
It is perfectly what he needs. BGH Shadow Flame is going to deal with the absolute total amount of threats that MaSsan has on the board.
Yeah.
I don't think it gets much better.
It's gonna clear. It might leave a 1-2 an OH-on.
It might,
wow.
but how much of a problem would that be in the end?
Yeah.
He trades for the Shadow Flame.
Oh wow. I feel like Drake tap is better than Belcher here. Since you know you have your BGH Shadow Flame next turn and you're at full HP, so you can totally afford to take some damage.
Yeah, the only time where this is a wrong play, I can't even think of a time. I guess when he freezes it, but not even then. Wow, okay, so the Dr. Boom comes out, pretty obviously, and then if you look at the current board, this Archmage Antonidas has nothing to work with outside of a...
Time Rewinder.
Oh! The
So
mind
this is gonna
control
hurt.
tech.
I've got the beast in my sack.
I mean, it has to hurt.
Perfect answer.
It has to hurt. Let's see what the Boombots end up doing here.
As long as the Drake lives,
Yeah, the Drake does
Right.
live.
pretty good.
Yeah, the odds
And
of the Drake
can't
not
even get
living were
even,
slim.
so as MaSsan, you had to reestablish the board, right? You can't Antonidas get a fireball and waste your whole turn on that.
No, you have to hope for a finicky Cloakfield, perhaps, off of another spare part generator.
You're gonna
but
get one day.
yeah, it's one of those things where Archmage Antonidas, although it is very strong in these decks, it's also absolutely dependent on you getting the perfect value. Or the perfect spare parts, because a lot of the time you can't really use them effectively. Like even the reversing switch, making a 7/5 out of Archmage puts it at a very vulnerable state, right? It's even more vulnerable to removal and also to BGH, so it's really tough to justify doing so. So it's finicky Cloakfield, extra health, extra attack.
And MaSsan didn't draw a lot of spare parts this game. He got 2, and he used one to get. He used the first to get the second one, so not very good. He didn't get the Yetis, Toshli, and the Clockwork Gnomes.
Oh, a card draw here for MaSsan. That's pretty decent. He probably needed
that's
something
great.
like this. Yep. Powder Shredder. This is
Perfect
the
curve.
unbelievable.
awesome.
Do you just go face or? Hellfire.
Well,
I mean, you've got to be afraid of fireballs, right? There's one card in your opponent's hand that's been sitting in the middle there, so you know
yeah.
it's some kind.
possible.
It's either burn spell or some
Yeah.
kind of burn spell or some kind of combo card.
Yeah, but I think you're a ek0p. You play the Belcher, or at least you Demon Heart, and you play by the odds. If
Yeah,
your
I mean-
opponent has double Fireball, then that's gonna stink. But without, MaSsan would still have to ping once, so ek0p is still fine as long as he doesn't Hellfire. He doesn't die to double Fireball. Until next turn.
Mad Scientist probably going to be Mirror Entity, which ek0p's going to have to play around with MC Tech, probably. Oh, that anti-kill bot is going to seal the game. This is game over.
Yeah, great.
I can't think of a way for ek0p to not win this with anti-kill bot. It puts him way out of range of, like, it's like one fireball, you know, and an extra third. So MaSsan would have to get like 3 spare parts with Archmage right off the bat, one of which would have to be stealth in order to even, you know, equalize that anti-heal bot over the course of a few turns. And the Demon Heart on an Imp here.
Yeah, and even then, even if MaSsan had Archmage Cloakfield next turn, ek0p doesn't die right away. He dies in 3 turns, so he could just go face and win first.
Yeah, exactly. He's got all the time in the world. He can counter pressure. He reached a point about, you know, around turn 4 where the tides of the game just turned around completely. It's like the tipping point was about turn 4-5.
Yeah.
And if you're alive and you're able to clear the board by that point against Mech Mage, there's very little they can do to just come back in the game right away. It's very, very difficult. Mech Mage still suffers from the same problem that, you know, the old Mage decks suffered from, which is inconsistency. It's more consistent, but when you can't seal the game right away, there's just nothing you can do.
Yeah. There is no good play here from MaSsan. Everything feels terrible.
Yeah, there's nothing, just nothing.
But this is so harsh. Like, I put myself in MaSsan's shoes now, and I'm like, oh, am I really gonna win? Am I really gonna lose 0-3 to a deck that I have, like, makes no freaking sense?
Yeah, because, well, then again, you know, these decks are decks that I have seen, and he uses a fireball and an imp. On an imp, I mean, sure, there was a demon heart on it, but it's an imp. You can't possibly like that. Yeah. And playing around Mirror T here pretty clearly, if you just drop MC Tech alone.
Yeah.
You know what? Give him a Mistress of Pain. Why not? Why not? Just give him a little bit more help. It's easier to kill and you won't lose your slime and your heal bot. You won't waste 8 damage from the, like, you won't lose anything by killing the Mistress of Pain.
I can ease your pain.
Yeah, this is the moment. This is the moment where MaSsan could concede, and I think it would be fully justified.
Yeah.
I mean, there is nothing for him to do here.
Yeah.
He's gonna get the 1 health, Archmage and Frostbolt, Alex Straza to get 2 fireballs. Actually, let's look
He's
at
alive.
this. He's alive, and he's not running any board wipes, so that those fireballs are gonna have to go face, but.
And ek0p doesn't have Siphon, so
He's gonna have to trade his
board
minions
this.
away here. That's unreal. I can't believe this.
And so, I think there's still no way because MaSsan's gonna have to would need a 3rd fireball that he has in his deck somewhere, but then he has to do it over 2 turns, and ek0p's just gonna Draxus and be out of range. So
And before Flame Strike is played. If he top decks Flame Strike, you know what? This would be incredible.
Okay, there's 1 out.
Well, actually, Flame Strike wouldn't cut it anymore. Okay,
Never
Flame
mind.
Strike is now out of the question.
All right. Science is not going to be enough.
Yeah, for science, it's just no. Alright, well I guess that shows the weakness of... You know what, I really like this deck from ek0p. It's reminiscent of multiple archetypes that I've seen from Warlock floating around. More on the mid-range side, and not... Like, you know how we have Handlock and we had Zoo for the longest time? Now there's a new contender in town, which is a mix of... It can be approached multiple angles. With, you know, hyper healing, with, you know, cards like Mistress of Pain, and Siphon Soul's anti-heal boss, just stalling the aggro deck that Mage is, because they don't snowball nearly as fast as, you know, the old Hunters did. So you're not nearly as worried about that as you used to.
Yeah, and what I really like about this is that you have the late game that Handlock is going for. You have the healing, and you have the sustainability with Draxus and everything. You can outlast control matchups, but you actually do play minions before turn 4, and you don't have to keep your cards before turn 4 because you're not waiting for Mountain Giants.
Yeah, exactly. You can actually afford playing stuff because you're not going to be tapping for 4 turns or 3 turns, that is, before you start dropping stuff. So I really like this type of deck, and I think Colento's deck was a really nice approach on mid-range Warlock, and ek0p's approach is also pretty good. I think I've seen a similar deck. Was it? I don't know if it was from ek0p himself, but I've seen something like this before. But not as much healing. I think ek0p stacked the most healing I've ever seen out of anything like this with the double anti-heal bot. So I really do like that approach. So he's gonna go 3-0 against MaSsan, which is gonna be, you know, thrown down to the losers bracket. Really unfortunate. I mean, 3-0 by a Warlock deck you just couldn't expect. But I think that was a perfect metagame call by ek0p. Just flawless.
Yeah, extremely good. So MaSsan's gonna go and play against Alchemist, and ek0p's gonna play against Fake.
Fake, yeah. And next match is going to be Firebad versus Mr. Yagut in a few, you know, going to take a little break here. And then we're going to show you the interviews between Firebad and Mr. Yagut. well, not between them, but between us and them, asking them meaningful questions, and hopefully Firebat gives us some insight as to what he likes in life.
Yeah.
So
Right.
what kind of lineup did they bring this time around?
Firebat brought Druid, Mage, Rogue, and Warlock, and Mr. Yagut brought Druid, Warrior, Rogue, and Shaman. So both had Druid and Rogue, and we have a Shaman. I'm very excited to see this. I think it might actually be... No, there are 2 Shamans in the tournament.
Yeah, I think
Fake and
Fake
Mr.
brought
Yagu.
one, and Alish brought a Shaman. So we have Fake, Alish, and Mr. Yagu with Shamans, which is a class that has seen
Right.
very little representation, sadly. So we're going to see that right after the break, so don't go anywhere. Battle the Best number 1, 2015, Mad Catz.
Calling